I'm Master Saturn. Thank you for joining me for another BDSM United podcast. The ceremony of roses. The formal lifestyle is filled with traditions and ceremonies that are seldom witnessed by the outside world. And perhaps one of the most moving and meaningful is the bonding ritual or ceremony of the roses. This ceremony is steeped in symbolism and mystique that dates back for centuries. Here's a brief description of what it involves and what it means. A couple who has decided to remain together for the duration of their lives and beyond will often opt for this ritual as a symbolic statement of their eternal commitment. It's sometimes used to renew a relationship that's gone through a difficult time and survived that test. There are many variations, and couples often choose to add special touches to make it uniquely theirs. The ceremony is almost never public. Most often, only the couple and maybe one or two of their closest associates attend. The submissive carries a single white rose, not quite in full bloom. The dominant holds a single red rose that's opened almost fully. Both roses must have thorns on their stems and be freshly cut. To perform two other parts of this ritual, a 6 to 8 foot length of light chain is also required, along with several candles or perhaps an alcohol burner or other liquid fuel, such as a good serving dish might use, like a sterno. The couple, along with one or two of their closest friends, stand facing each other. The submissive, wearing a simple dress or a simple gown, holds their single white rose. The dominant, holding a red rose, the removes the submissive's collar. He passes it quickly through the flames of a small burner and returns it to her neck. As he fastens it securely, he makes a declaration to her that he will protect and guide her for all eternity. Now, of course, this only works if you're using a metal collar. And so, for the specific ceremony, it would be good to have like a metal collar or metal ring collar of some type, just for the ceremony. With a thorn on the stem of his red rose, he pricks her middle finger and lets 2 drops of blood fall onto the white petals of her rose. She then offers the thorns of her rose to him, and he pricks his own finger. He lets 2 drops fall uh, to her rose, one alone and one on top of the drops of hers. The two then press their fingers together and make their vows to be joined by blood. Their witnesses or friends take a length of lightweight chain and pass it quickly through the flame and wrap it around the couple. They again make their vows to be bound by their souls for eternity. The roses are touched together, letting the blood from hers kiss his, and are then exchanged. The chain is removed and wrapped carefully in a cloth to be given to the couple when the ceremony has ended. The roses are put into a single vase and will be later taken to their private chamber to remain as a reminder to them as they contemplate their new bond that night while joining their bodies. In the morning, they share their hopes and their dreams of being together for eternity and pluck the petals from the roses to place them in a container together. These petals are kept for the lifetime of the couple, and a portion of them are buried with each in death. The chain is passed down in the family or given to an honored friend who will use it in their own bonding ceremony. Here is the symbolism of those different props for this ritual. The significance of the roses. The white rose, still not in full bloom, symbolizes submission. The white color represents the purity of their gift, while the still slightly closed petals show that their submission has not come into full bloom. It never will. Submission is ever deepening, ever growing, and the submissive will never reach a place where they cannot open up a bit more for their dominant. The red rose, almost fully open, signifies dominance. The red represents passion and desire to possess and to protect at all costs, though it may require him to spill his blood to do so. The rose is almost in full bloom to symbolize that they are ready and mature enough to accept the responsibilities required of being a dominant. The significance of passing the collar through the flames. In older times, the collar would have been made of metal and heated to a glow and plunged into cold water to temper it after it was burned of all impurities. This action symbolizes the removing of all impurities from the circle of ownership provided by the dominant. All outside influences are burned away in the heat of the dominant's desire to protect and defend his submissive. The tempering of the metal that takes place when plunged into the cold water shows the strengthening of their commitment by submersion into the waters of life. Today, we only symbolize this by passing the collar quickly through the flame, taking care not to damage it. The significance of the blood. Well, pricking the finger of the submissive is symbolic of taking her virginity or deflowering her. And you don't have to be a virgin to do this ceremony. It's just a symbol of uh, of of purity. She has shed blood to give herself completely to him. The drops on the white rose also speak of the same thing. In pricking his own finger, the dominant shows his willingness to shed his blood to protect and defend her by virtue of his ownership. And as with a lot of this, it has a little bit of heteronormativity to it, and it shows in this scenario, though, it's a female submissive and a male dominant, but please feel free to change it for whatever your genders are. There's nothing that makes it so that one person that a submissive is always female or a dominant is always male. We know that those of every identity are or those of every gender are capable of being any identity within BDSM. The drops of her rose show that vividly the drop that falls on her blood covers it and blends with it, thus indicating their union. Pressing the wounds from the thorns together allows their blood to mix, joining them as strongly as their own family bloodlines. They are now of the same flesh and blood. Exchanging the roses is symbolic of their gift of themselves to each other, both the dominant being a gift to the submissive and the submissive being a gift in this moment to the dominant. The significance of the chain. The chain is a series of links that represents all the events that have led them to be joined. Each one interlocks with one another to complete the chain. Passing it through the flame symbolizes the purification of all the events in their time together as well as their pasts. All bad things are burned away into forgetfulness and only the good remains. Wrapping the chain around them gives a visual image of the binding together of two souls into one. This chain is never used for anything again. It's sacred, other than perhaps in a similar ceremony by the person who receives the chain as a gift, like an heirloom, passing it down, a legacy. They're often passed down for decades or even centuries and are honored by those fortunate to receive such a gift. The mixtures of the petals signifies the mixing and blending of their two lives. Couples often keep them in a decorative jar once the petals have dried completely. Upon death, a portion of those petals are placed with the body to show a bond that will extend beyond the grave. Many legends are told of roses that have sprung up on the graves of couples who have loved so strongly that during their physical lifetime, that even in death, they sent back evidence of their everlasting love in the form of roses that bloom again on the graves. Just a beautiful picture. As with any ritual, it has lots of symbolism injected into it, and it's just a way to celebrate a power exchange relationship and to strengthen a bond, perhaps similar to a wedding, perhaps similar to a hand fast, similar to other types of rituals and other traditions. Perhaps this is a tradition that you're interested in. You can find more on the ceremony of roses by doing a simple Google search. You may find some different variations on this. There's nothing really set in stone. You can add or subtract any symbolism that helps you in forming your bond and in showing your commitment to your partner. I'm Master Saturn. You can find me on the web at mastersaturn.com. You can find all of our resources and podcasts at www.bdsmunited.com. It was a joy bringing this to you today. Just kind of wanted to throw this ritual out there for any couples that may find it useful for strengthening the bond and commitment of their relationships. And that's a really important thing. It's an important thing for us to do, is to strengthen our relationships. When those of us within our community get better, and when our relationships are strong and stable, and then it makes our entire community better, and maybe in some way or another makes the world a better place. We can use that right now. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk with you again soon.